Yes, fellow Nigerian. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching my video from. Please, if your first time of seeing my video, kindly comment, share, follow, and like. Thank you as you do so. Yes, fellow Nigerian, I say my bring una latest update. As I talk to una now, our brothers and sisters wey dey Morocco, the dey street. Because e just set for there this morning. Earthquake just scatter them, don put them for outside. They dey street now, homeless. They say my use opportunity call on Nigeria government, Tinubu regime. Say make dem come to their end, say they need their help. Because people wey run comot for their country now because they don't get better life for their country. They dey Morocco now, still dey survive. Earthquake now just scatter their house. E just render them now homeless. I will play on the video now, more una see am. They still dey find some people now, they never get people, some people. Earthquake just start for Africa. They say my use opportunity call Nigeria government, Tinubu, not be to dey take loan. Not be to dey take loan up and down. Dey share money. That money una dey go take for loan. Una people need una head now, put help for Morocco. Una give them the support wey they need. The money una take bribe Judge Rimel for tribunal. Una extend and give them for Morocco. They need una help. And the video now will play for Nana Mona Sian. Say it just set for Morocco. Very useless leaders. They say Mona come to their aid, must say they need una help. Useless people. When I go sit down, useless people. After they carry loan, take the share. Now na sabi. Mona go help them. They say ma call on una. Mona send people come. If na like Mona see they send what you be name Oyema peace this thing because now later on they volunteer to come outside to help. Mona see call and say me help na go evacuate people where they homeless there, bring them come back. Those are not ready to come back. They say they no want come back. Now help now they need. Mona help them. Mona see Morocco say don't sell for the earthquake. Without they come now small. Very soon we reach Aso Rock for Abuja. Very useless country.
Problem, Sammy, is to drive to the mountains. It takes hours. It's really difficult to get to those areas. So I would assume, for the rescuers, for the ambulances to go there, and this is an earthquake that took place at 10:50 p.m. Local time.
So people probably would have been asleep. It's not
exactly, and this is the biggest concern. And then it will take the authorities time. They say that they have deployed the rescue teams. They are there.
What are you hearing since you're speaking to people? What are they saying to you, Hashim? Are they getting help? Are rescue teams on the scene yet, or are people left to fend for themselves?
There are rescue teams operating on the ground. They have managed to get to many villages there, but still you have to wait and see whether they were able to go to the most desolate of those areas, particularly Eril, which was the epicenter of this earthquake, and this explains why people are concerned. They're still under shock. People went to bed for them not to wake up again.
I'm sure you're very familiar with this area. I've driven through it. It is a very difficult area to navigate. It takes time. You drive over mountains. Are we at a situation or a point right now where really the picture isn't entirely clear, and it will take time to really understand what's the scale of damage, what's the scale of need?
Indeed. We were at a death toll of 269. We are now, a few hours later, we're talking about 820 people, because it would take them some time to fly over all those areas, assess the damage, and then decide this is the top priority. Eril is the epicenter, so I would assume that you would see more medics, more ambulances going there. But to go there, some of the areas are inaccessible. It's really extremely difficult.
It's a remote area,
yes,
right?
So I would assume that you will have helicopters flying the injured and the dead to urban centers, and particularly to the city of Marrakesh.
So we could have a lot more people probably still trapped under the rubble.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Had this earthquake been close to any major city like Marrakesh, the fear was going to be that we were likely going to have a much, much higher death toll. It's affecting an area sparsely populated, but we're still talking about villages And now we're talking about 820 people who were killed, and we're likely going to see this death toll.
And these villages are
climb.
spread out, right, from what I recall.
Indeed.
You drive for quite a while before you
Yes.
get from one village to another, right?
You have Iril, you have Ijukak, you have Wergan, and many other villages on the Atlas mountain. It's really a stretched area. So it's going really challenging when it comes to logistics and deploying rescue teams to all those areas. But the authorities are saying that their teams, since the first hour of the earthquake, they have been starting to look for those still trapped under the rubble and count the dead.
And the survivors, when you speak to people, what are they doing? I imagine many of them afraid to go back indoors.
Oh yeah, it's shock. They're still outdoor.
Do they have help? Do they have somewhere to stay?
They are still concerned about the potential for further aftershocks. And I think this is where you will have, where people are looking for an immediate response from the government when it comes to makeshift shelters for those people for the upcoming days, because those severely hit areas where you have the anxiety of people going very high, to the point where even people in Rabat, Casablanca were pretty much concerned about what happened, because they felt the aftershocks all the way towards the north and south of Morocco.
All right, good talking to you, Hashim. I know you're going to be with us, so we'll probably come back to you. But let's go now to Hassan Haddad. He's a Moroccan senator, former minister, joins us from Rabat. Good to have you with us, sir. First of all, tell us a little bit about what you're hearing vis-a-vis the government's rescue efforts and teams.
I think the rescue efforts are now on the ground. What happened is, like, right after the earthquake, then there are local rescue teams in all of those villages, because there is what we call civil protection. Those have like a few kinds of means in order to deal with people trapped under the rubble. But I mean, like the others with more means, then it took them a few hours before they get there. The reason why it took them a few hours, and Hisham is right, it's a very kind of mountainous and also difficult kind of terrain. But also, when the earthquake happened, then a lot of rubble from the both sides of the road kind of blocked the road. So there were a lot of blockages, a lot of stones and a lot of rocks that got into that happens when there is, for example, rain in those kinds of regions. That happens when there is snow in those kinds of regions. So this is very shaky kind of terrain, and whatever happens, then the road is blocked. And so there was a blockage of the road in the first hours following the earthquake, and that's why you need machinery in order to evacuate the road. That took hours, actually, and so that's why the ambulances did not get there till about 5 o'clock in the morning. But they got to Sidi Ibrahim, they got to Ijukak, they got to the closest kind of communes. But Iril was difficult, and what made things like worse is that there was there was a shutdown in the telecom, so the infrastructure was hit, and then people were not able to communicate. So the authorities.
But at this point, Hassan, are we certain that rescue teams, authorities have reached all of the devastated villages? I mean, we're talking about a very difficult area.
They have reached all of the devastated villages except the one in Iril. We don't know yet. I don't have that information. But I think as of this morning, they are still clearing the way in order to get to Iril, which is the epicenter. Iril is a small village. I mean, like, is a commune, but there is like a village there, which is like the real epicenter, where there are probably like a few hundred people living there in houses of mud and brick. We don't have a lot of information. Most of the information was communicated by the local authorities, which is the local guide of that kind of circle, and then he would go up the mountain in order to get coverage, and then would call and then give those kinds of statistics and data. So as the road will be cleared, we will know for sure how many people are dead, how many people are still trapped under the rubble, and how many. So yes.
Are authorities not able to reach the epicenter by other means if roads are blocked, helicopters and so on?
There are helicopters, but the helicopters, what you can do with the helicopters is only to evacuate the injured. So helicopters have been deployed today, the army helicopters, and they are reaching villages where they could get the injured out. But I mean, if you need like teams to help the local teams in order to clear the rubble so that you can rescue people, that in some villages, especially those in the Iril commune, they are just getting that right now. The others have got that kind of rescue in the early hours of the morning. So it has been difficult because the road was blocked, but I think they are getting there. But the airplanes are there, the army is there, the civil protection is all